I'd just like to say that even the AI generated retro vaporwave techno is being like, look, guys, the entire world is burning. Look how cool that is. We're living in the neon apocalypse right now. Oh, that's so sweet. Nothing is as kino as living in the cyber world of 1986, in which the entire Middle East is burning from the fires of the oil pipelines. Truly, the retro future is now. If only I could be Snake Plissken. Yeah. It's good to know that all our movies related to American military excursions in the Middle East will always be relevant for every generation of young people. It's not like, oh, look at Uncle talking about when he watched Jarhead in college. Actually, Jarhead in college was especially silly because it was like a nostalgic look at the first Iraqi war, Desert Storm, while America was already in a military excursion in Iraq by Bush Jr. instead of Bush Sr. And then, like, now we've also guaranteed that the generations below us will also get their own Middle Eastern war. If only I could die for Israel. Sorry, but that's a special right limited only for the greatest of American heroes. You get a war and you get a war. You are all getting wars. If you think about it, like, other countries have no chance against America simply just because America constantly gets practice in war. Think about that. We're talking about China as like the global superpower that's overtaking America, but they're a country that basically has never been in a foreign war and won in 5,000 years of history. Meanwhile, America is a country that is like only 200 years old, and for pretty much like 70 to 80% of the years in which America has even existed, they've been involved in some kind of war the entire time. Especially like post-World War II, it's hard to find periods in American history when America wasn't doing some sort of meaningless foreign war for like some vaguely defined victory condition than when they were. It's just like, here's a cool 3-year break from war, guys. Like, I hate to be like Kojima was right again, but the American military industrial complex is like a beautiful tree of freedom that needs to be watered with the blood of Arab states and oil and money. You do not hate to say Kojima is right. I kneel, Kojima-san. You are right as usual. How did he know, guys? I was planning to finish this drawing last night. And the whole process of putting in the grays and coloring on these stupid Kusogaki's train uniform was so boring that I just couldn't get myself to finish. And I was like, I'll just do this on stream. This is exactly the kind of boring-ass assistance work that you should have somebody do for you, but instead I'll just do it on stream because it requires approximately 5 brain cells to color in the stupid gray areas. I fucking hate coloring, guys. I only care about line work. Once I'm done with the line work, it's like my work here is done. Coloring shit is the stuff that you have little children do in their stupid-ass paint-by-their-numbers books. It's not what grown men artists do. The grown man artist, he is satisfied once he depicts the form using his line work. He doesn't care about anything else. That shit is so fast and easy on a screen tablet you wouldn't believe. I mean, I am using a tablet. If you mean the paint bucket tool, I can't really use the paint bucket tool with all these fucking tiny lines and shit. Just convince a colorist to do it just for exposure. That would require me to socialize with people. I mean, these areas I'll just do with the bucket tool, I guess. Jess got suspended from Twitter for impersonating myself. LMAO, Twitter is a joke. We were just talking about, what's his name? Fujimoto Tatsuki, and him impersonating himself, or more like him impersonating his imaginary little sister on Twitter. He got banned for impersonating, didn't he? He wasn't banned for impersonating, or more like, well, I guess he was banned for impersonating technically. Twitter was concerned that someone was impersonating his little sister, but it was just him impersonating his little sister. Either way, his little sister didn't exist, so... Guys, can we talk about Fujimoto Tatsuki for a moment? Because I went on a massive rant regarding him in Discord last night, because I was fucking pissed off. I was legitimately angry last night. Rare footage of BaalBuddy being angry. I don't know if you guys have been following Chainsaw Man Part 2, but let me bring up the website. The Jump Plus website, in which you can read Jump manga for free. It's like, hey, Pochita, where did you come from? Denji, we were eaten by a devil. What? What are we gonna do? and he was like, I'm gonna eat myself. I don't know what will happen if I eat myself. A world in which Chainsaw Man doesn't exist. You're like, what? And then they skip ahead to living in a, tiny little shack in the middle of nowhere. And it says, next week, the final chapter. It's not even next week. It's 2 weeks from now. I don't know how many pages we're getting. Bro, he's going to do it was all a dream shit, guys. It might not be like explicitly the version of it was all a dream, but he basically just like flipped the table because he couldn't figure out how to end his stupid fucking story. He kind of has a track record of doing that. Bro, the guy is like a legitimate hack. Remember Fire Punch? I have not read Fire Punch to the end. It wasn't available to read for free, so I didn't really care. The only reason I'm reading Chainsaw Man in the first place was because it's just available for free on Jump Plus. So for me, that's, that's good enough. As someone who creates content, I can say without a doubt the worst way to do anything in any piece of media when that has been going on for a long time and you don't know how to end it is to just be like, it was all a dream, guys. I don't know. Nothing happened, or maybe something happened. I don't know. Everything you were waiting for. I'm not going to try and conclude everything. I can't do it. It is the worst thing you can do. It is like walking up to everybody who donated their money and their time to the entire experiment and taking a massive steaming pile of shit inside their mouth. It is the most disrespectful thing you can do to your readers out of anything on this planet. It's just like a giant fuck you to everything. Like, whatever version of ending we get for Chainsaw Man, even if it isn't just like it's all a dream, it's obviously not going to actually have enough time to cover up any kind of, plot resolution. So, it's fucking dunzo. One of the cope I saw was that he was tired of cringe friends, like the Smiling Friends creators. Nah, bro. He just doesn't have the ability to actually, understand how to finish his plots. That's all. I think so this got me thinking about Fujimoto Tatsuki. I think what I find so infuriating about him is that a lot of his stories have the framework of something that could be profound and meaningful, and he doesn't understand what the framework is, and he just kind of passes it by. Like, not only can he not stick the landing, sometimes he doesn't even know what airport that he's supposed to be trying to land in. For example, look Back. His most critically acclaimed work, unfortunately. I feel like Look Back, if made by a more capable writer, could actually say something profound about all the people who want to be mangaka and stuff like that. but instead it becomes like quasi-Yuri onanism. Like, Fujimoto Tatsuki is actually very talented at a lot of things. One of them is, for example, his talent at writing cringe behavior among cringy young people. So Look Back could have been like a really profound story about like both an extra, like the most realistic look at people who want to be mangaka. You have like a girl that's somewhat talented at drawing in elementary school, but it's extremely cringe and she's just doing it because she likes attention and stuff. But then that goes against the reality of being a mangaka, in which you basically have to sit at your desk all day long for years and years and years. Look Back confused the fuck out of me the last few minutes. It had a solid theme until that. So, if you're reading like the first part of Look Back, as a manga artist myself, like, you know the repeating images of her at her desk? Like this, and then they show like the passage of time by drawing different things on her bookcase. And there's the window and there's snow coming out. Like, that is a really profound, meaningful image. That's a reminder of what it means to be an artist and a mangaka. Is that basically no matter what you think you are and what you want to do, is you have to do this for like forever. You just have to sit there. That was good, IMO. I love that. Okay, so that was like the profound part. It could have just been a story about, like, at the end of the day, it's all about the grind set, and whether you make it or not just comes down to the fact that you just have to grind forever. Is that you right now? Well, I have to yell at the chat, so it's not me, really. But okay, he didn't actually go for that, because the reason why this isn't relevant anymore is because, like, the moral of the story of that, of like the realism, goes out the window when you introduce a cute autistic girl that idolizes you, but also is like extremely talented at drawing backgrounds and is just going to work as your assistant for free. So now we're already in the land of fantasy. Anybody who wants to be a mangaka sure as fuck wishes that they could get a cute girl to show up and just be like, I'll just draw your backgrounds for you, sensei. But obviously that isn't gonna fucking happen. So now we're already living in fantasy land. Okay, alright. So I can go that far. Fine. We're living in fantasy land in which we're gonna have cute Yuri onanism, as I was saying. Let's say we're going to allow this and just be like, okay, that's part of his story. We're going to go in that direction. Have you noticed that Look Back is the anime is only 55 minutes and the manga volume is less than, it's like about 100 pages. So it's not either full-length movie or a full-length manga book. It's like basically half. It's very thin. Okay, it's not a full creation. So Fujimoto Tatsuki defenders would be like, no, that was the story he had in his mind. It can be shorter than a full-length story. To which I say, wrong. It clearly needs a second act. Why does Look Back need a second act? Well, if you read the first act of Look Back, or it's actually a third act now that I think about it. It's a third act. In the first act, we establish that main character is an attention whore. This is what was making it a good realism-based story about manga creation in the first place, is that a lot of manga authors are drawing manga because they like their audience paying attention to them, not because they have some, like, wellspring of creativity inside them, right? But then, at the end of the first act, her classmates start to lose interest in her, right? And then that causes her, the main character, to start to lose interest in the manga creation herself. We've already established that she isn't someone who draws based on her internal impulses. She draws based on her external validation, right? And this is resolved by the appearance of the superfan character who calls her sensei, who calls her a genius. So here we establish, as long as she has a superfan to glaze her asshole, she can maintain her motivation of being a mangaka, and now her superfan is drawing backgrounds for her. So now she's good to go. Now, in the second act, her superfan Yuri girlfriend, assistant, is murdered, but MC goes back to stoically, how do you spell stoic? Stoically drawing at desk. What is wrong here? What's wrong is that we established in the first act that the reason why she was drawing manga in the first place wasn't because she had something that she absolutely like had to put on paper, but was because she liked external validation. And then we set up the form of external validation in her Yuri girlfriend, giving her validation. So this is a denial of the entire character arc of the first act of the youthful area, right? What needed to happen was, and we actually confirmed that in the original work, this is wrong. It's confirmed because in the alternate reality, the MC is doing karate instead of drawing, thus confirming that drawing is not a core part of her personality. There's lots of other things she wants to do. It's not something that she would do in every single version of alternate reality, and that allows her to save her Yuri girlfriend in her fantasy version, right? So what this means is the second part in which your girlfriend just dies, and then that's it. That's the end. But she keeps on drawing, is a complete disregard of her character. So instead, what we needed was the third act. This is the most basic bitch shit that everybody should be able to figure out if they've taken a script writing course. And Fujimoto Tatsuki obviously loves movies, is that you're supposed to have a fucking third act. Right? You establish character, you have a life-changing event in the second act, and then in the third act you get some kind of resolution. So we needed a third act in which MC stops drawing. Duh. This is the most obvious shit of all time. She doesn't just stop, she can't draw because the reason she was drawing in the first place was because she was in love with her autistic Yuri girlfriend. Duh! This is so obvious! If you sent this to like a stupid fucking Hollywood script doctor, they'd point this out within a first minute. There's clearly a third act. She needs to stop drawing. And then you can resolve this by her finding the inner strength to go back to drawing or whatever like that. Or her just like giving up drawing altogether. You can decide to resolve that on her own, but the fact that the main character can just like continue going back to the desk and immediately working on the manga that she's working on shows that Fujimoto doesn't understand the character motivation of his own character that he already established. This drives me fucking crazy. We need the resolution. So, not only does Fujimoto Tatsuki have a lot of difficulty, like, resolving plots in general, like the basic shonen concept of, like, we're fighting and somebody needs to win, but with this we kind of see that he doesn't even have a good grasp of the character that he's personally establishing. It's actually really, really infuriating as someone who is watching it. This is the most like obvious shit that's already there. The text is right there. But he's just kind of wandering into the text. He isn't constructing it in a way in which he actually understands what means what. Like, in the last chapter of Chainsaw Man, like, Pochita tells Denji, like, you didn't really enjoy living a happy life, did you? You like being crazy and shit like that? And I was like, yeah, Denji likes being crazy and all, and that's part of his personality, but that just feels like a complete misinterpretation by the author of his own character. Like, there were scenes in which, like, Denji was looking slightly bored and living a normal lifestyle, but he was also deeply traumatized by not having to... by the deaths of his friends in part 1. It felt like the whole point of part 1 and then the early parts of part 2 was we were establishing that Denji was basically going from a young teenager who was like physically deprived of all creature comforts and was like an adrenaline junkie because that's all he felt that could keep him alive, to a thinking adult who was gonna like finally experience having a good lifestyle like a real human and learn from his mistakes of not thinking and letting Makima control him to becoming a fully fledged adult who knows how to live in society. That was the character arc that was being established. But what we found out was that Fujimoto Tatsuki didn't really understand his own characters, and he didn't really understand the character arc that he was establishing in part 1 and probably part 2. And then it just devolves into a gigantic fucking shit and piss fest of, you know, demon, devil is gonna do this, and then devil is gonna do that, and there isn't any kind of mechanics to explain why that happens. And then even the character of Denji is reduced to just simply, oh, I want to have sex, which is fine. You can be a horny teenager, but you can't just end the entire series with him like agreeing to have sex, them agreeing to have sex between Asa, and then just being like, oh, that's it. And we don't even get to see them have sex. Like, this isn't fucking American Pie. I doubt Fujimoto is that stupid. It's definitely all intentional, whether you like it or not. Sorry, but Chainsaw Man, it was all a dream ending, begs to differ. Anybody who basically gets a free pass to post their manga at the timing that they want and have already made a successful amount of money and have assistants and stuff to help them draw for them, and still chooses to end their series in a it was all a dream, nothing is resolved. Oh, for fuck's sake, spoilers, I haven't even started watching it or reading the manga. Well, guess what? I'm saving you a lot of time. Because if you started reading the manga and being like, oh, I wonder how it's all going to be resolved, the answer is it's not going to be resolved. You should be glad that I'm spoiling this shit for you. You might be able to enjoy it way more if you don't expect anything out of it. But if you're consuming it and like, oh man, I sure hope, I wonder how he's gonna beat the devil, or I wonder who Denji is gonna have a romantic resolution with, or I wonder how all these mysteries are going to be explained. If you are entering the manga hoping that for those like normal answers that people expect, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So no, Fujimoto Tatsuki does not understand what he's talking about, and it is not intentional. If you were going to make that excuse for him, and the excuse was like, he just didn't have time because it was a weekly series, you don't understand the amount of work that goes into this, he had to publish manuscript, he was burned out, he couldn't do it anymore, fine. But guess what? It's not a weekly series. Look Back was done in his free time in between Chainsaw Man Part 1 and Part 2, in which he took a long break, so he had all the time in the world to do whatever he wanted. He didn't have any page limitations, so he could have written whatever ending he wanted, so there is no excuse for it being a incomplete length and incomplete thematically. And Chainsaw Man Part 2 is also being posted online, and it's well known that the online postings in Shonen Jump Plus are not restricted by page length and their page length and like timing and stuff like that. So he could have written any story he wanted. If he had asked the editors, I want to finish it like this, I need so much more time, they'll be like, they would have been fine. He's choosing to end it like this because he doesn't know how to end it. Isn't this the sex meme anime? Yes. And the sex memes are excellent, and that's what they should have been writing in the first place. Just let Tatsuki just do silly sex memes. Everyone would have been happier. I get how annoying it is when you invest your time and energy into a piece of media only for it to get cut short and have a crappy ending. It's never fun. I haven't invested my time or energy or emotional support in Chainsaw Man. I'm a casual of the casual, but it still annoys me just for principle's sake. I'm against it because I'm a professional. Both a professional consumer and a professional creator of this shit. And it should not be forgiven. I'll probably still binge it, but Jujutsu Kaisen is the one I'm looking forward to the most. Bro, shut the fuck up. Stop being like, guys, don't talk about spoilers. I haven't consumed the extremely popular piece of media that has ended and people finished consuming a year ago. I don't want to fucking hear it. BB the professional? Bitch, what do you think I'm receiving money for? It's not because I'm good at drawing. It's because I create narratives out of very limited page restrictions on Twitter. I literally make money off of silly commentary on drawings. By definition, I am a professional. Nothing is paying my rent besides the manga that's being produced, guys. That is a professional. I was making a movie joke, you grump. I'm in my ranting mode. Where everybody's catching strays. Is that Ieyasu? It may as well be. It's nondescript Japanese samurai. Okay, Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert was a professional critic. I never claimed to be a professional critic. Someone give him a piece of kashipan so he'll calm down. Kashipan will not calm me down. That's like 700 calories of pure sugar. If anything, it will pump me up and force me to go outside and run as hard as possible to reduce the amount of blood sugar that's corrupting my veins. We don't need to save this, my rant about look back. The political talk is when everyone here is the most calm, lol. If there's political talk anywhere else and people lose their marbles, I mean... There isn't anything really controversial about politics. Who in chat is gonna be like, guys, stop saying that the US military is controlled by Israeli interests. That's anti-Semitism and that clearly isn't happening. Said no one. It's not really, there isn't really any controversial shit going on anymore. Funnily enough. It's just same old, same old. What is an immaculate manga to you? This is where I say the do the hipster shit like you probably haven't read it. But if we're going by like famous shonen stuff that like checks all the shonen manga boxes and should be read as like a textbook for how to make shonen manga, I think a good example would be Dai's Great Adventure. I think a lot of our tropes of shonen manga, like they've been collected by a bunch of different locations, but Dai's Great Adventure basically hits every single thing. Whether it's like the power of friendship, set up a big bad and properly defeat them, like have a group of like the evil team and shit like that. The 5 demon generals, all of the like shit and all those kinds of tropes existed before Dai's Great Adventure, but Dai's Great Adventure is like the textbook version in which they all sort of come together and are presented in like an extremely easily digestible, well-laid work. It doesn't go on for too long. It goes on the exact right amount. Hunter x Hunter, oh right. Will you shut the fuck up with your extremely normie opinions? Who the fuck is gonna say that Hunter x Hunter is a great example that's an immaculate manga to you? It hasn't even finished. Why the fuck would I list Hunter x Hunter as an immaculate manga when the author can't even meet deadlines and post it in like an incomplete state, and we have to wait like 5 years between when he starts reposting on Twitter? Hunter x Hunter is the best, thank you very much. You're legitimately pissing me off. I assume that you're a standard weeb consumer of anime media, which knows approximately 3 things: Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, and One Piece. Totem, you are trolling? I truly can't tell if he's trolling or not. Ball, for fuck's sake, it's rage bait. I don't know which one of you people is who, guys. I don't remember who's who. Because Hunter x Hunter is a great shonen manga. It's just not a good, immaculate shonen manga. Like, there's plenty of people who, if you ask them what's an immaculate shonen manga, they would list Hunter x Hunter. It would just be an incredibly stupid opinion. BB, breathe? No, this is the Alex Jones segment. I will not breathe. As an internet streamer, being angry nonstop for hours at a time is an excellent way to become popular.
These are demons. Just like the Bible says, it's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said, it's what they warned of, it's what we're dealing with. They're demons. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay? I'll just say it, make fun of me all you want on CNN or wherever, but everyone already innately knows this. Do you support court-martialing people for their religious views? Answer the question.
Answer the question, chat.
Answer the question!
No. Yeah. Would you stop screaming?
Answer the question!
Will you stop screaming?
The answer is no. And here's the thing. I'm just...
It doesn't matter. You can see everything's coming to a head. All you people that love the system, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the rioting, the checkpoints, the wars, just all of it. It's what you want. And quite frankly, we all deserve it.
We all deserve it.
Never defeat the human spirit. You'll never defeat God. You'll never win. Ah! I'm not going to get in bed with you. Because you don't love the spirit of justice. You love your father, the devil.
That's right.
Excuse me. I apologize. We have a family audience. That was wrong, and I won't do it again. Right now, I'm out of control. And humans could look up and see the stars and invent systems to track them and literature and art and everything. And look what we've been turned into, because we're all being killed by the softness. killed by the domestication. No, I want to kill it. I want to chop it up. I want to pour gasoline on it. I want to throw it in a trash can because it's not alive. It's dead. I mean, that is the abomination. That is the Antichrist right there. I know they stage those terror attacks. You know what it's like to gut up to this and go out every day and go past.
What I like about Alex Jones is that it feels like he's like a boner that's about to ejaculate at all times. See, people who are like, Baal, you need to calm down. Why should I calm down? Look how successful Alex Jones is before the whole, like, getting sued by the Sandy Hook survivors thing. He created an empire just on being angry. And before him, he had other contemporaries like Rush Limbaugh and stuff like that who did the same shit. Crazy. Never stop being angry, guys. Just keep on going. Okay, instead of, like, undrawing things, I'm just gonna draw over it. And... the twitching, throbbing dick of talk show hosts? Yeah. That description, the first time I saw it was describing the character in, now I'm blanking on the movie's title, the drum movie, Whiplash. What's his name? The actor in Whiplash has like a bald head and he's like super angry the entire time. And a review of it was describing him as basically a throbbing boner. And I was like, damn. So if you shave your head and you're just like angry and energetic, people will be like, he's like a gigantic cock. Yeah, J.K. Simmons was described as a boner in that movie. Hold on, I have to piss. I drank a bunch of tea before I started the stream, so this is gonna be a piss stream. Oh! Ah! Hold on, I have to fart. Ah! Fuck! We can hear you piss in pain. It's not the peeing that is painful. It's the simple amount of emotional talent I have just crammed into my human body. Is that why your pecs are so big? Maybe. I don't know why my pecs are big, guys. It just happens. I was just naturally born with that talent of having large, round pecs. Unlike the females in this chat, my breasts are huge and round, and succulent and moist. Born for Bada? Yeah. It's pretty funny how guys' tits and Bada, like the male breast muscles are just like mammary glands once we get into gay porn. What cup size? Probably at least a C cup if you wanted to properly envelop my round, sexually active male breasts in a bra. But they're rock hard, so they don't need a bra, you know? No bra. Just letting them hang out. Just walking around topless, baby. The women fear me. Does this mean even gay guys like boobs? Yes. Gay guys do like boobs. At least the ones that draw Bada content. Why do you think the average Bada male has a body type like this? Average Bada body type. Not even average. Literally the only Bada body type. What's important here is that the boobs, even this is actually a little underestimate of the Bada boob size. If like the body is like this, The boobs end up being like this, man. They're literally like... They're just like sticking out, right? They're like this. And of course, the face has to look... This is ideal Japanese gay man body type. Round face, this hairstyle, slight amount of facial hair, round kind of innocent looking eyes, and then extremely round body. Everything has to be kind of like rounded. You want to be basically a ball of muscle. And then his senpai is like, heh. Welcome to the rugby team, son. This is average Bada body type. Round with muscle. This is Bada body type. Man drawn for men. And then when you go to female media and we get to woman, female drawn for female, specifically for female marketing, it's like this. Very few features. And this will be like Shiseido face cream ad. She looks like the scary godmother. It's, this is just like the average female body type when they're trying to sell something to a woman, especially in Japan. Biore, yes. Apparently Shiseido is like losing shit tons of money. I'm not sure why. That's why it was on my mind. Biore is the one that has like the jingle. So obviously this is like female for female becomes this, which is why male for female also becomes this thing, right? Adam's apple, neck, sharp pointy chin. You can see all the bones. He has some amount of musculature, but he's not round. He's very sharp. Just a lot of sharp angles. For some reason, women like sharp angles and men like rounded stuff. This is average shoujo male. And then, of course, the body shape of female drawn for male consumption is just stuff like this, right? right? We're just seeing round shapes. Everything is round. This is the difference between male and female. The male, it desires rounded curves. This activates the neurons. And it also activates the same neurons in the bada shape as well. Rounded. Whereas for female, it's thin. Thin lines, triangular, combination of triangles and sticks. We need to ban women from having access to men. I mean, that's sort of what's going on in Russia right now, isn't it? It's like the two realities of post-communist utopias, post-Soviet era. You have the version of China in which the government has allowed their local families to throw their daughters in the river for 20 years. And for every man, there's like 0.6 women or something. And then in Russia, we have the version in which every guy has been forced to on an excursion into Ukrainian death trenches where they get blown up by waves of drones and stuff. So, you know, average Moscow dating scene for females probably isn't doing great there either. Alright, we can delete all of these. That just sounds like gay sex. That's because it is. BaalBuddy stream, don't talk about gay sex for 5 seconds challenge. Difficulty impossible, obviously. Guys, not everything is about gay sex, I say, as I have drawn an image that's literally about gay sex. You sick fucks. Will you stop thinking about gay sex for 5 seconds? The answer is no. We will not stop thinking about gay sex for 5 seconds. That just cannot be done. It's too difficult. Since drawing Shupogaki, I dare you look up Pixiv 141709925. I'm good. I don't need to see more deviant content on Pixiv. I already look at it all day long. Whatever it is, whatever horrible thing that you're trying to introduce me to, I don't need to see it. Is that Ukrainian thing still happening or not? I rarely hear about it anymore. Yes, Russia is still bullying Ukraine. Russia is bullying Ukraine, but they're doing it in an incredibly inefficient, nation-destroying way in which they're also destroying their own country actively in the process. For some reason, they've entered a stage in which they're just sending all of their soldiers into the meat grinder for some reason. I don't know why. It feels like we're in the fuck around and find out era of international politics. The two alternative versions of fuck around and find out. Putin fucked around with having a war with a country that was slightly more prepared than some of the other post-Soviet states, and he is finding out that the entire Russian military is extremely corrupt and poorly prepared to do anything. And Iran was fucking around and finding out that the only reason that they were able to keep on saying shit like death to America was because America was ignoring them. And as soon as they got an American president that was willing to do the real politics shit and just being like, what are you going to do if I just bomb the shit out of you? They're immediately in deep trouble. I especially was thinking about this when I read that Iran was calling the US blowing up one of their warships an atrocity. And I was just like, bitch, it's a warship. What happened to the whole the United States is the great Satan? Isn't that what you were talking about when you were calling the United States the great Satan? And then their warship, like, they literally, the ones that didn't get blown up literally escaped to Sri Lanka, and there was like, Sri Lanka, save us. And I was like, man, I guess the only reason that these axis of evil, if we're going to quote George W. Bush, states, like, I guess they were all, like, not playing for real. They were all just like, bro, we were just talking, bro. Just a prank. Sound like a sissy, bro? So much pointless death. There's really no point in worrying about humanitarian shit, unfortunately. The ironic thing is that if we're looking on a historic scale, there's way less pointless death right now than there used to be. You mean that unarmed warship taking part in basically parade the one half the world away from Iran? Yeah, but like, the whole point of a warship is that it's a warship. You can't be like, no, this is a school of children that America is bombing. Like, you can't make that excuse. It's literally supposed to be a fucking warship. Like, again, this whole argument that Iran is making is based on the assumption that America was a benign entity instead of one that was going to play on the same rules as them. And be like, you're claiming you're an adverse military power to us. What if we just fucking attack you? Like, they weren't... It was like, come on, man. We're just fooling around, boys, right? I think we're going to look back at this era of history and think that war is actually pretty cool and based. If we're looking at, like, in a comparison to, for example, World War era bombing campaigns in which you were just kind of hoping that your bombers were dropping napalm on the correct city instead of, like, you know, military targets and stuff. We're living in, like, a pacifist utopia compared to that. If this was World War II, American bombing runs would be like, oh, it's at night. I hope we're hitting Dresden or Tokyo instead of a completely different location. My immediate Iranian family have all been celebrating this whole time. It may be true. I mean, it's, like, you can't make the argument that if you're on a warship that it's a non-military target. You're just sort of hoping that, like, America is going to go easy on you despite you have a government whose entire thing has been calling it the Great Satan for the last 50 years. It's all just based on, like, the idea of, like, yeah, we were calling you the Great Satan, but we didn't think you'd actually do anything bad to us, right? That'd be mean. The last time the US intervened in Iran, it went so well. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna go well. I'm just saying, these countries can't actually do shit. Why would America ever go easy on anyone? Well, there was a version of America in the previous administration that didn't have Donald Trump and a completely unhinged Benjamin Netanyahu Israeli military presence in Trump's ear, in which they would be like, we should not kill everybody, right? But, all of these anti-American regimes weren't able to adjust to the new reality in which Trump will basically just do whatever the last person who spoke to him told him to do. Apparently that's how his brain works, according to his cabinet members. So if Benjamin Netanyahu is in Trump's ear and just being like, no, Mr. President, it will all go just fine. And Trump has had, like, success in Venezuela and stuff. You know, we're in an era in which you can be easily convinced to commit to a lot of military things that he probably should be committing to. That warship was fair game by rules. I mean, the whole thing is that, like, we don't really have any rules. International law is a fucking joke. China and Putin right now are being like, United States, you should be following international law, which is fucking hilarious, especially for Putin. That's the funniest shit of all time, Putin being like, the United States should adhere to international law and not do these things. It's like, LMAO, holy shit. He's doing the thing, guys. Like, it was just a whole rules for thee, not for me situation that had been going on for like 30 years. And now America has elected a president with very strong dictatorial tendencies who wants to behave similarly to Putin. But the problem is that, unlike the Russian military, the US military is way better than the Russian military. So now we have, like, a scenario in which we have a completely unhinged, warmongering dictator that can do whatever the fuck he wants. And then all the previous American enemy states haven't really adopted yet. International law is difficult to enforce and only effective when representing billionaires and elites. Yes. The only thing that's holding him back is his own morality. Dark MAGA, yeah. Why can't we have a cool dictator instead of his loser who shits his pants? I mean, what would be the cool dictator, though? Most dictators historically aren't cool, guys. Dictators are famous for being short and ugly. That's a really big dictator thing. It's probably like the constant ridicule that they get for being short and ugly that provides them with the motivation to become a dictator in the first place, I believe. Castro is kind of cool. Well, that's maybe why he was able to survive for so long. What morality? He went to Kid Rape Island? To be fair, he was only one of many American politicians and public figures and rich people who went to Kid Rape Island. What about Alexander the Great? And now, when we start talking about cool dictators, somehow we're back in the gay sex topic. You get inept retard or brutal warlord, pick one. Sometimes both. It's not always one or the other. You can have one that might be a brutal warlord in some situations, but also inept retard in others. Alexander the Gay. I like how Historia, if any of you are reading it, one of the critically acclaimed stories of Alexander the Great, didn't want to show Alexander in a extremely passionate gay sex relationship with what's his name. So instead they made the guy that Alexander the Great was having gay sex with into like his split personality alter ego instead, because I guess having everything be about gay sex was a little too much. Alexander was fairly diplomatic. He was much harsher to the neighboring Greek states. Alexander was living in a time in which he couldn't afford to just drop a $10 million bombs on the opponent's military without suffering any casualties. He actually had to, like, go to war, so, you know, he had to do a little bit more calculations. It was a different time. The difference is he's not an actual military person. At least I'd have a modicum of respect if that were the case. It's actually not that common for military people or people who have any sort of knowledge of boots on the ground military strategy to become like the total powerful dictator, if you think about it. Like, just in modern times, we have Putin, who isn't actually military. He's KGB, and it's showing in his campaign in Ukraine. Xi Jinping is currently basically in his own little war with the military, trying to consolidate power right now. It's usually a political figure, and then military is subservient to them, not the other way around. You have a bunch of African warlords who are just like straight up military, but in the West, it's usually more on the politics side. He has Erica Kirk overseeing the Air Force, so his is right. You all saw that shit? I can't be bothered to deal with the chronic retardation that is plaguing America at all times. The fact that the American military is still so effective, even though that their commander-in-chief has basically the mindset of a 12-year-old, is pretty impressive. Although, I think the difference between the people that Trump appoints and then Trump himself is that I think deep down the people that Trump appoints, like Kash Patel and stuff, know that they're pathetic pretenders, and like they might push back against their experts and stuff, but deep down I think they're deeply embarrassed of how dumb they are and how incapable they are of actually holding the job. So I don't think like Erica Kirk is actually being like, no, U.S. military, let me choose the bombing targets for you. I'm running the Air Force now. That's the difference between Trump and the people that surround him, is that Trump is never actually pretending. He's actually retarded. That's his superpower. That's what gives him strength. Whereas everybody else, like Pete Hegseth, knows that he's not actually like fit for that position. He knows he's a mouthpiece deep down, even if he tries to, fight it. What they did in Venezuela is nothing short of amazing. I'm saying it as one who actually felt the bombs when they fell close to my house. So that's the thing, right? American local politics, we're so used to grading on the scale and moving the goalposts of what should be capable militarily. Like, we don't even like consider what's possible, and the discussion is entirely what is right. But for any other country, none of the shit that America is doing with its military right now should even be possible. You're not supposed to be able to fly into another country, take out the president's security personnel, abduct them, take them back to the United States without losing a single soldier. You're not supposed to be able to assassinate basically the entire members of a country's upper cabinet in like an hour, and then like destroy their entire navy with basically having only like a few hundred casualties. Like, this should be basically impossible. War is supposed to be costly and expensive, and it is expensive at least, because all of these bombs are costing billions of dollars, but like none of this shit should be possible. My big takeaway is that we've all been underestimating the U.S. military, what the U.S. military can actually do. And this is like a huge reminder. That's a miracle of operation, and you know it. Come on, man. To be fair, Venezuela was also kind of a failed country. But it's also important to remember that both Venezuela and Iran supposedly were supposed to have high-tech Chinese anti-air defenses that they actually spent a lot of money on. And it turned out that those were not effective at all, I guess is what we found out. You can fit nuke in your pocket. There is really no way for any human to be safe in any way. Guys, what do we have to do to not die? I just want to not die, guys. I'm not asking much. I just want to avoid death. What can I do? I was hoping that the cartels got that treatment first. Kind of tired of being a failed nation. I don't know which country you're talking about, but I mean, the Mexican cartels just got one of their leaders taken out, right? I forgot which cartel it was. And that, I think, had partial U.S. military intelligence cooperation. Yeah, what's his name? One of the, what was it? Which cartel? I forgot. El Mencho. The problem with the cartels is that they're never actually going to go away because capitalism is too powerful and Americans can't stop using drugs. So as long as there's a drug market, the cartels are always going to be somewhat active, and there will always be a drug market. The war on drugs is like the one US war that the United States just can't win. The only thing more powerful than the US military is the capitalism, the system of capitalism that supports it, and the system of capitalism is also what supports why we need to have Mexican drug cartels in the first place. I'm just waiting for them to pull another manufactured consent event now that war has started for an excuse to invade another region or country. I mean, what's really interesting about the Iran war is that Trump isn't actually providing any excuses. Like, he can't even be bothered to lie about Iran having, weapons of mass destruction or something at the time, like George W. would have. He's just like, yeah, we could do it. Why not? It was a great opportunity. Like, he's just going for it. You know what happened was, he probably was, like, in the situation briefing room, and then the Israeli intelligence assets got them information that, like, bro, they're all in the same location right now. If we just attack right now, we can just kill, like, half of the Iranian cabinet. And Trump was like, yeah, we can do it. Why not? Yeah. And then there wasn't anybody in his ear to be like, Mr. President, that might pose some problems down the line. Like, there was nobody to put the brakes on him, and it was just like, yeah, why not? And then that's probably the amount of thought that went into it. Just say the bombs are expiring and disposing of them is actually more expensive, so gotta drop them. The military-industrial complex must be fed, guys. Kojima was right. Why lie? Everyone knows this is a desperate man who is widely regarded as a pedophile. I mean, to be fair, Epstein Island hasn't been on the New York Times front page for at least a few days. It's entirely taken up by the war in Iran and like 8 other crises, so his strategy is successful. Trump's 5D chess, in which we all know what he's doing, is still being successful. We can only pay attention to so many things at a time, so Nozomi should have only one fang, probably. Yeah, I guess you're right. I like double fangs more than... I like symmetry. The traditional gaki is that you have to have one fang. This fucking cover-up, I hate it. It's not like anything was gonna happen anyways. Don't be overly optimistic. The cover-up in plain sight. Department of Justice trying to delete multiple files while people are distracted. What do you mean there's no files that have Trump's name in it? There were always no files with Trump's name in it. We didn't delete anything. Don't be silly. You said you don't like Skin Fang? This isn't Skin Fang. See, here's the line right there. If I had erased this line, it would be Skin Fang. But there's a line clearly denominating between the top of her mouth and inside her mouth. Pam Bondi is a demon. I mean, they get hired for a reason, guys. She wouldn't have that job if she wasn't willing to do heinous shit. Anyways, when we got Trump's second term, and actually even first term, Trump first term, I was like, if we can get out of the Trump presidency without a nuclear war, I'm going to consider it to be a win. And in Trump's second term, I'm like, if we can get out of the second term without Trump declaring himself president for life and America becoming a dictatorship under the Trump family for the future, I'm going to consider it a win. And I still stand by that basic principle. So, all in all, so far, I think we're still winning, guys. I might have lowered the standards for what I expect out of America quite a bit, but that was always my goal. Is if it doesn't result in Trump president for life, I'm going to consider it to be a success. For maybe 5 years more. The entire boomer generation, including Putin and Trump and Xi and stuff like that, they're all entering their autocratic tendencies as the boomers cling to life and relevancy in their last gasp efforts at immortality. But we haven't developed anti-aging technology yet, so thankfully death still comes for us all. We're still safe, guys. Once the billionaires develop extremely expensive anti-aging technology that allows them to live forever, that's when the end of human history will finally occur. But until that happens, we're still good to go for a while. The question is, who will replace him once all his policies are said and done? It'll be very difficult to inherit that Trump energy. There's a lot of Republican contenders who want to pretend to be like the Trump inheritor. And none of them actually have it. They're all just LARPing as Trump. They're not Trump. And it'll be very difficult. I mean, you saw that during the Republican primaries in the 2024 election, right? Like, everybody wanted to be Trump number 2, but Trump was still there, so they didn't need to be Trump number 2. No one can match Trump's energy. I just said it in the stream, but Trump's superpower is that he's actually retarded, not pretending, and none of the other Republican politicians have that power. JD Vance is a risless couch fucker. Nobody but Peter Thiel stands him for real. Yeah. My mother was very worried, as someone who watches too much MSNBC, that JD Vance was just as worse as Trump and he was going to inherit all of Trump's power, even if Trump was old. And I was just like, Mom, somebody might inherit the Trump doctrine, but it ain't going to be JD Vance. I can guarantee that. JD Vance has zero chance of, like, becoming the next dictator in line. You just don't got it. In fact, the main reason why presidents choose their vice presidents is often specifically so they choose someone who has no riz, so that they won't get outshined by their vice president on purpose, so... What would require dictator success in USA? Well, for one thing, it would have to require the U.S. military to fully give up their independence and be willing to shoot U.S. citizens. Because one thing I think is unchangeable is that I don't think U.S. citizens will ever have like a consistent point of mind for a long period of time. Like 8 years, 2 terms is enough for Americans to change their mind and just be like, oh, we want something new. So they wouldn't be able to stay in power without like a military to support them and shoot civilians, i.e. like in Iran. So it would have to be like a military coup style setup. Vance is too soft-spoken for their Trump's fan base. They want someone who will indulge in their unhinged tantrums. It's like one of Trump's abilities is his ability to read the room, but not necessarily the room as a whole, but his supporter base. And if he feels like, you know, he's getting too far away from at least what his base wants, he's capable of, like, pulling back. And I think that none of the people that want to inherit Trump's position have that level of, like, political wherewithal in which how much they can indulge the wacko part of the Republican Party while also knowing, like, when too much is too much. Like, look what happened in Minnesota, in which white people got shot and it started to get a little too hot. Trump cut bait by firing Kristi Noem and being like, oh, she was doing a bad job, not my problem. Like, he didn't continue to beat the dead horse and be like, guys, it's perfectly fine. These were domestic terrorists. He was able to correctly see that that was too much of a stretch, so he was just like, fire the female that I appointed in this stupid position. I wish I could bite Chuck Schumer and give him a disease. These corporate Dems ruined us. Chuck Schumer looks like he was, well, for one thing, he's super old. I'm pretty sure that the next stage of the Democratic Party will be Bernie-style, anti-rich people stuff. You can feel it brewing right now, so we'll probably get a little bit of that at least. And obviously the corporations will try super hard to prevent that, but if any of the anti-rich legislation actually gets enacted, I'll be shocked, but at least during the election stage, we'll probably get some of that. He's also Amy Schumer's cousin, Strike 2. I didn't know that. No wonder everything is so awful. There's still too many neo-libs who will stand for Newsom. I don't think Gavin Newsom will win anything. I might be being too optimistic, but he feels like he was created in a lab. And those people rarely win elections. Like, when the candidate that looks like they were created on paper as, like, the concept for a generic Democrat or generic Republican very rarely actually wins a nomination. They can often get up to, like, a pretty high level in office, like maybe win a national election like Senate or Congress, but presidential elections are sort of a different animal. So I don't think Gavin Newsom has enough juice to actually win the nomination. The lab technician Nancy Pelosi. You'll hope that by now she's so old that she's not the one trying to pull the strings at this point. What slightly gives me slight hope is that the fact that they were able to see that Biden was incapable of winning the election and was also possibly kind of senile, and they were able to pull the plug on him and get him out. Even though the fact that it went directly to Kamala was a mistake. They need to have primaries. But the fact that the Democratic Party was even able to displace Biden after it became painfully obvious that he was fucking done gives me some amount of hope that they're still at least a little bit functional as a political party. Because the GOP on the other side of the aisle certainly is not capable of displacing Trump, no matter how senile he gets. Article 25 was basically made for Trump, but they're not going to be able to implement it, so... Dumbest thing they did, they shoehorned Kamala in. I do wonder if there was a different timeline in which they were able to notice that Biden was senile at an earlier stage, and then it gave them more time to have primaries, and then maybe it wouldn't have been default Kamala. But it's a big mistake to just assume that the vice president is next in line, even though that was the case with Biden, and then Al Gore did pretty well as well, but it often is not the case and should not be used as the default option. Kamala and her forced fucking fake smile, how annoying. I think American voters are going to be more hostile to a fake, shitty female politician than a fake male politician. Like, there's some version of female bullshit that rubs people in the wrong way more than male bullshit does. So, if we're going to have a female politician that's successful, she has to be better than at least Kamala or Hillary. Both of who you can tell are doing their politicking pretty obviously. In another timeline, Hunter Biden locked in and he became his dad's replacement. Hey, we might still be on that timeline. If we're a country that is going to elect Trump twice, we're certainly not going to disqualify Hunter Biden just because he used a bunch of coke and has a bunch of photos of his cock with hookers and stuff like that. If anything, that might boost his candidacy. Male bullshit is just straightforward. It's like both we've only had 2 real candidates that were females so far, so our data set is pretty limited, right? But Kamala had that kind of fake laugh where you could tell that she didn't actually, well, it wasn't the fake laugh, but you could tell that they were politicking, right? It's just a lot less palatable, and I'm not sure why. It kind of reminds me of, like, some people just don't want to listen to high-pitched female voices. I'm one of them. Like, when I listen to audiobooks or, like, radio programs, like the NPR voice where they have like the Sai female voice and stuff. There are just like female things that like I find just physically very unappealing. And I think a lot of the United States actually shares that, but Democrats being like the pro-female party, they're not allowed to admit this. The nagging, condescending voice. People prefer to have deeper toned voices, for example, which leads to the concept of like a shrill female. This has long been a complaint that's used against women since the 50s and stuff. But it actually shows like there is a fundamental preference for like certain behaviors. Just give Bill Clinton a new chance. He learned his lesson. Bill Clinton, third-term president. In this dark timeline, only Bill Clinton can fix America. I wouldn't be surprised if the first female president is a Republican. That's a good question. It might be. Who knows? I mean, we've already had these Margaret Thatcher types, and now we have Takaichi Sanae in Japan, who, she isn't really Republican level right, but she'd be like center right. So that is a real possibility, I would say. We have a longer track record of females reaching the top in what would consider to be trad, conservative, right-wing parties than the opposite. Tone plays a huge role in perception. Unfortunately, a lot of female politicians are kind of trained to adopt a nagging effect to get their points across. The fact that Hillary Clinton was able to win a senator election says more about the New York voting market than how successful she is as a politician. Because when she went onto the national stage, she 100% got exposed. And that was against a candidate where everyone was like anybody but him. And she still wasn't able to win, so it says a lot about how hard people had to work to try and force themselves to like her. Republican female politicians know they need to come off a certain way. Yes, and they go to the same hairdresser. And then they adopt the same political points. But that's probably not enough to win a nomination, though. You need to be that... You need to have, like, extreme, like, trad female role that the Republican voters are going to support, and then plus a little bit more than that. I don't think it will be enough to win on its own. She was popular as fuck as Secretary of State, and after Bill cheated on her. I feel like the Secretary of State popularity is just Obama's magic dust rubbing off on her. Unlike Trump, Obama was actually good at like spreading his immense popularity to people in his orbit, i.e. Biden winning an election because black voters were voting for the first black president, except it was the first black president's vice president. You know, it was just a continuation of the Obama Riz. A lot of people had no idea what Hillary was doing. Meanwhile, the anti-Hillary people during the Obama administration were just yelling, Benghazi! Benghazi, guys! Benghazi! And the average person was like, what? Benghazi what? Huh? If you don't vote for him, you ain't black. It would be interesting how the black voting populace reacts in the next Democratic primary. Because I think a lot of the more like traditional black rights people were like, we're gonna need to have a white candidate. And then there's like the left people who are like, no, you have to vote for the black candidate. Because we just had that in the Democratic primary in Texas. We had James Tallarico, which was a young white guy, and what is it? I forgot her name. Jasmine Crockett, who was young black female. And Jasmine Crockett kind of appeared to be in the archetype of angry black woman, or at least could be seen in that way. And I think a lot of Democratic voters were like, she can't win a national or at least a statewide office election, so we can't vote for her, so the white guy won. I think Democratic Party is all about electability right now, and it should be about electability because, you know, we're kind of on the precipice of losing the democracy, so you can't be worried about silly identity politics. Jasmine, identity aside, she took corporate money. Tallarico didn't. But corporations are people, guys. There's nothing wrong with taking money from people. Can't wait to see what more clowns your country will conjure up in future elections. America is a pro-clown country. It's also a pro-scam artist country. The trickster that scams people is a beloved American archetype that appears in Mark Twain novels. So it's actually not that weird that Trump is successful in this country. He's part of an American tradition. Snake oil salesmen as American as baseball and apple pie. They really are. It's how we produced our great country, by claiming that if they drank this miracle tonic, it would cure syphilis. True of any country built by religious zealots? I mean, it's probably true of most countries. There's a reason why Mao had to have the Cultural Revolution, guys, and eliminate Chinese superstitions. He failed, by the way. Chinese still believe that if they drink powdered dragon or like tiger cock, it'll make them like their penis huge or whatever, so... Unfortunately, Mao failed in his mission. We are a joke, man. We elected a fucking TV show retard who got famous saying firing people as a catchphrase. You might be forgetting, but this is not the first time that Americans have elected an actor to be their president. There isn't a great track record, but some of them have turned out slightly better than others, like Schwarzenegger. Reagan is kind of the original sin of why America has gone downhill. Why didn't Trump have to imitate Reagan's senility and lack of empathy? He's, you know, that's what the Republican Party's about. Apathy comes with age? No, Trump always had a lot of apathy. We have a lot of documented cases of him basically behaving like a slumlord. He wanted to be sexy Hollywood cowboy like Reagan. I literally have never seen any image of Reagan in the young version. Ronald Reagan, young in movies. I've only seen like the shriveled up old version of him. He's not that good looking, honestly. He looks like a pretty average guy. They're trying very hard to glaze him in these photos, but I've seen better. His wife gave great blowjobs. It's not like young Stalin because holy shit, young Stalin and young Che Guevara, the communist area politicians were much better looking than the democratic area politicians in the Cold War. Stalin, Che Guevara, young Castro, all these guys were pretty attractive people. Probably because they actually believed in something. Like, you know, forced industrialization that resulted in millions and millions dead from famine. But they did believe in something, guys. The quotas must be met. I'd say young Che and Fidel are hot, but never date Cubans. I mean, Trump is trying to size up Cuba right now, so you might have a lot more Cubans to date if they force Cuba to reopen using the American military or something. If Iran goes well, he's probably going to go after Cuba next. He'll be like, I'm on a hot streak. Nothing can stop me. He's in a pursuit of immortality, so he wants to be like the guy who opened up Cuba as well. Isn't the part of why you should never date Cubans part of the problem is that all the Cubans in America are like the far right people who escaped Cuba with all their money? Isn't that part of the problem, though? Like, I'm sure the people who are still on the island are much better. Why are we fucking with Cuba? Because Trump wants his name in the record books, that's why. And he experienced a lot of military success in Venezuela. So now he's going to start testing his luck to see how far he can expand that American military success to other locations. The US raised Cubans are insane. I mean, if we're thinking about it, the US raised Cubans are the ones that had enough money to get off the island and escape with their money and now live a comfy life in Florida, so... they'd probably have a lot of the worst aspects of American rich kids. Generational self-hate as metasized in Marco Rubio. He is the ultimate American Cuban. He makes the Cuban flag, hammer, and sickle appear behind me. Marco Rubio is the ultimate, like, fair weather. I say one thing and then Trump asks me to do one thing and I immediately capitulate. Actually, I say he's the ultimate version, but that's Ted Cruz. Marco Rubio is like an 8 and Ted Cruz is like a 10. Remember when Ted Cruz in the Republican primary had like the huge speech in which he was like, Trump, you may insult me, but you will not insult my wife and my father. How dare you accuse them of committing the JFK assassination? And then when Trump won the nomination, he was like, I'm sorry, I was mean to you, Mr. Trump. I apologize about everything. Glug, 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 glug. See, that's a politician. This is why Trump gets the win in the first place, because at least he's like sticks to his guns on what kind of a human being he is, and he gets angry like a normal person instead of capitulating and behaving like a pathetic little bitch. At least, like, if someone insults him, he, like, hates you for the rest of his life, like a normal person. He's not like Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz, who's like, oh, I will do anything for my political career. Ted Cruz is Canadian, it's even worse. Wait, wasn't Ted Cruz born on military base? No, wait, he wasn't even American, right? I can't remember. What country is he from? He's 1/4 Cuban. So I guess they're in the same boat of anti-revolutionary Cubans who are pathetic Republicans. Cuban born in Canada, the worst combination. Texas is in trouble, let me get on the plane. One of the worst transportation-related scandals since it was admitted that they put the dog on the top of the car when they were driving cross-country, but it was okay because the dog was enjoying it. And then all the dog owners fucking freaked out, and they're like, no, you can't do that to the dog! The dog is in danger! Rest in peace, Mitt. Who would have thought that Mitt would be one of the good ones in 2025? Our standards have been lowered quite a bit. Oh, I see a problem. It's crazy that America has to rely on the Mormons to be the only somewhat principled part of the Republican Party, if you think about it. They're not even that principled, but they're the only like part of Christianity who's like, oh, maybe some of the things that our government is doing are anti-Christian, whereas the evangelicals are like, look, let me suck Republican politicians off harder. Most dog owners are very passionate. I mean, I remember when Hassan shocked his dog live on stream. We should probably have a bingo square that is talk about Hassan's dog being shocked. That should be in one of the bingo squares. I think what's stupid is that the whole point of having an animal in your live stream is that it like does stuff, right? It walks on and then it walks off and it provides like an extra thing to pay attention to. But Hassan is like, no, I just want it to be in the frame at all times instead of like doing dog shit, which kind of defeats the purpose, but I guess he isn't smart enough to understand the appeal of having like a pet cam. Hassan just pressed the wrong button. Yes. There's the eject button next to the dog shock button next to the free blowjob button. You should have had an area with several cameras. Just have like the food bowl or the water bowl or like the bed in the corner, and then the dog will walk to the bed every once in a while and then we'll leave and then we'll come back, and then that will provide visual stimulus. The point of having a pet cam is not to just have the pet on the camera at all times. It's to provide people with like something else to look at, to be like, oh, I wonder what the dog is doing or something. The fact that he isn't even able to understand that is pretty stupid. Have donos give treats for maximum grifting? Yeah. That's not very healthy for the dog, though. You don't want to be giving them treats all the time. If you had a donos get to give the dog a treat button, people would over-donate. You'd have to have, like, maximum 3 per stream or something. How about instead of, a give dog a treat button, instead we have like crush your cock with a rock button instead? How about that? Maximum pain I must endure. Crush my cock with a rock I must. Maximum pain I must endure. That's my best Yoda, guys. I can't do any better. That's all you're gonna get. I'd respect Hassan if he just shocked the dog more after that. Add a shock dog donation button. If you donate $10, you get to shock his dog. If this was Kick, you could probably get away with like doing it to yourself. Attach some electrodes to your balls or something and be like, every time you donate to me, I'll shock my balls. Time for you to get a dog. I don't think I'm allowed to have dogs in this apartment. Also, I don't want to have a dog. I don't want to devote my time to walk these motherfuckers. They should be able to walk themselves. I shouldn't be forced to deal with their bullshit. Have a goldfish then? I don't want to have to deal with the goldfish bullshit. I like living alone. I don't know. When I'm jogging around, I see everybody having a properly trained dog in Japan, and you know they're walking around with it, and I'm just like, this is too much work. I'm just gonna walk myself. Also, especially because everybody has a Shiba, and the Shiba is not listening to what the owner wants it to do. So I don't want to have to deal with the Shiba's bullshit as it walks in the opposite direction or refuses to move or whatever. Just don't get a Shiba. I'm not gonna get a dog in general, but yeah. Don't Japanese kids love getting beetles? I'm not a child anymore. I do not find satisfaction in having beetle like I used to. I never had a massive beetle. Why don't you get a snake? Oh, I want a snake girlfriend, but not an actual snake. Also, I had a lizard, and lizards are, you have to spend a lot of money on electricity to keep them warm. I guess it wouldn't be as expensive in Japan, where it's insanely hot and humid all the time, but yeah, I'm just not gonna have pets for a while. Especially because I plan to move. If I'm gonna get a pet, it's gonna be when I get, like, a permanent living location. People who like snakes freak me out. I don't know, I like the tactical sensation of snakes. They're cool and smooth. I don't like furry objects on my skin, I've noticed. This is like the most Asperger shit you could talk about, but like, stuff that it's usually taken for granted that people like that shit. Like, the feeling of fluffy fur on their skin. I don't like it. People on the autism spectrum are, they tend to be particular about whatever they feel on their skin, and I don't like the fluffy feeling, so I very much enjoy the feeling of the cool snake skins on my skin. Snakes are cute. The people who like deadly ones, you need to watch out. I want one of those snakes where the upper half of the snake is a female human with big titties. Where can I buy one of those? Just get a woman at that point, to be honest. No, I want a woman that's also a scaly. He's a man of specific needs. I don't really want a spider woman because they have hairy legs. I don't really need a hairy-legged female. You hear that, women? Go to Walmart and buy your pink safety razor that costs twice as much as the same Gillette razor that's marketed for men. And get on shaving those legs. Especially if you're a spider. You last drew Lamia 3 years ago with Fate and Mon Musume. Yeah, Lamia is hard to draw. It's a lot of work. You have to figure out how you're going to draw the scales and stuff. I'm not in a particular rush to go back to drawing it. That's most of Human Woman? Not necessarily. If you get like a vegan, environmentalist, European female, there's a pretty high chance you might get one that thinks that being forced to shave their legs or whatever is part of the patriarchy or something, so... If you're in Asia, I'm sure they shave their legs a little bit, but Asian women just in general have way less hair, so I don't know if every single one of them has to shave their legs. I bet some of them can get away with not being forced to shave regularly. At least for the leg hair. I'm sure they all have to shave their armpit hair. Nobody gets to escape the armpit hair rituals, but... That's right, women, if you don't shave your legs, you're akin to spider monstrosities. The spiders are sexy with all their legs, but they're hairy. They need to have smooth legs. No one escapes armpits or pubes, sadly. Wrong. That's not true. Disorder for people that have no body hair. Alopecia universalis is the primary medical condition characterized by the complete loss of all body hair, including eyebrows, eyelashes, and scalp hair. It is an autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks hair follicles. Other causes for absent body hair include congenital atreatica, absence from birth, or hormonal imbalances. And it makes you look like this. There's been multiple NBA players that have no body hair at all. Like, back when I was in high school, there was like Charlie Villanueva. It's less as obvious if you're an NBA player because you're kind of expected to have a bald head, thanks to Michael Jordan. This guy looks like one of the, like a bad guy in Fist of the North Star or something, because he has a really strong brow, but he has no eyebrows. He looks like he's gonna start bullying some old guy and like kill the old guy in a brutal manner before he gets killed by Kenshiro. Zero body hair? Yeah, they just have no body hair. Their immune system attacks their follicles, I guess. Palms are susceptible. They have no hair on his butt. I wish I had no hair on my asshole. I've complained about this multiple times, but it's pretty annoying. Why do I have to have all this big swarm of body hair right where my poop comes out? Evolution is a lie. The bugs don't crawl in. It's not stopping them, guys. The bugs are too powerful. If they want to get in, they're gonna get in. I'm powerless. Wax your ass, bro? No, I will not be waxing my ass. When am I ever going to show my asshole to people? I'll just deal with the poop on it. I already have to, like, deal with my hemorrhoids. Getting a little bit of shit stuck on my, We have washlets now as well, so... The bidet is going to take care of a lot of my problems. Not a big deal. Hair being our evolutionary solution for friction sucks. I tried shaving my armpits, and it was a horrible, horrible mistake. I have the sharp, tough Asian hair, so shaving my armpits resulted in just like an abrasive surface inside my arms and just insane amounts of chafing. It was a horrible mistake. I'll never do that again. How the fuck do you fuck up shaving? There's no way to avoid just having, like, my armpits just being abrasion land. It can't be avoided. Also, humans are already covered in fungi. Ever heard of yeast? True. But it's not like yeast is benign and stuff. It gives you, like, yeast infections and shit, so... My cousin that I said got paralyzed recently basically got paralyzed from a yeast infection, I believe. Some kind of yeast infection got into his spine. I mean, that's some food for thought right there. We're covered in all this bacteria, fungi shit that if it starts infecting you, you become a quadriplegic. I've yeasted since forever. Flatbread is delicious. We never needed the yeast in the first place. Thank God for being hygienic and without nasty issues that would require medication. Who's the grizzly guy, by the way? It's an average Japanese gacha slop consumer. The Japanese just look like this when they're consuming their gacha slop. When an average Japanese man consumes his shupogaki content, he looks like that. Typical, resulting in intense vaginal itching, burning pain, and thick white discharge. That's what I have coming out of my cock. As usual, the vagina is once again giving us information about horrors beyond human recognition. Truly the most horrifying part of the body, the vagina. Just an infection-prone hole. That starts discharging various fluids, some of them necessary for body, others are infections. Doesn't it also smell like fish? I have often heard from experts on the internet that bad-smelling vaginas smell way worse than a bad-smelling penis could ever smell. But I have no way to confirm this. With the gift of life, it comes with many curses. Instead of having like a whole vagina thing, I'm telling you, women should just start shooting all their eggs into the ocean. And then we can just come into the river or the ocean and they will fertilize it. I keep on suggesting this, but none of the women listen to my advice.
Each year, the end of autumn marks the start of a remarkable journey. The epitome of perseverance. From the open oceans to small freshwater rivers.
Women, just do this. Just swim up the river and shoot out all your eggs.
Swimming against the currents.
I'm not jacking off over a handful of eggs. I am.
In their path.
We shouldn't aspire to be like salmons. We can just be like, we don't have to swim up the river. We can just like come in the ocean like the other ocean creatures.
With incredible strength, they leap over waterfalls.
Look at these stupid retards.
Even slipping past predators.
They're trying so hard to go up the stream and the bears are just like standing there being like, LMAO, look at all this food.
Several weeks, sometimes spanning hundreds of miles.
Bear, no, yeah. The bear's right there,
Once
guys.
the salmon reach their spawning grounds, the upstream battle ends, and the mating quickly begins.
This is what I get for choosing the bear over man.
Females lay their eggs
In Alaska,
barrels
bear chooses
before
you.
males fertilize them, each nest containing over thousands. But the Great Migration comes with an even greater sacrifice. When the breeding
Dead.
frenzy is all said and done, the Pacific salmon waste away.
Ah, I come now, I
Their
die.
dead bodies line the riverbanks during a season that ends in both life and death.
Dead ass blood. The evolution of suicidal reproduction, guys. Let's see them where the cooming actually happens.
Most organisms can afford the freedom to breed year after year.
That must be the best jizzing ever. A lot of animals just die after they come.
From this, reproductive death eventually evolved around 11 million years ago, and it hinged on the huge cost of migration.
Look at them go.
Selection may have favored fish that paid a higher price. Those that reached the breeding grounds sooner could establish better territories and spawn the most young.
Oh!
Slower fish, too concerned with feeding, were simply outcompeted. Over time, selection pushed this race to dangerous limits.
There's some like real
So much
punished
that
salmon
death
in here.
became inevitable for Pacific salmon.
Some big boss
But not
salmon.
all
Oh, I'm
fish face
dying.
this fate. The Atlantic salmon also endure long migrations without chasing death, surviving even after spawning.
See, it's just like a
The
specific
two
salmon who are like, I'm gonna
diverged
die.
around 15 million years ago, long before the origins of
It's just like, nah, I'm gonna win.
It was the increase in excise that truly drove the evolution. Usually,
Oh, look,
fish compromise
sexual content,
between
Twitch.
excise and number. But semelparous species are greedy, indulging in both to maximize their mating efforts. Larger eggs produce larger young that grow faster, which increases their survival. And this only added to the cost of reproduction, a sacrifice that ultimately sealed their fate.
So they're dying because they want to have like large size young. So instead of having like a small baby, you're getting like a fucking toddler come out of your womb. But it's too much work, so you just fucking die.
Still die after spawning. In the Okanagan Lakes of Canada, some schools of sockeye salmon are completely enclosed by land, unable to make the long migrations.
LMAO.
Although these fish spend their entire lives in fresh water, they still take to mating with the same intensity as their sea
Now I
cousins,
die.
even paying the same price.
The ducks are like, time to eat my corpse.
Still, for these specific salmon, death is not the end. They continue to give life long after they die. In these graveyards, the dead act as natural fertilizers, releasing nutrients into the stream.
Imagine being like, I'm gonna swim up the river, I'm gonna come now, now I'm gonna die. Holy shit, look at that. And then like, you have a nature program being like, look, you're helping the ecosystem in your death.
Where they enhance plant life and the greenery grows greener. Others make it back to the oceans, returning some of the nutrients used to fuel their great migrations.
So that was my advice for females, is just shoot your eggs into the river, and then I'll come, and then we'll both just die, and then seagulls will eat our corpses. How about that? Fuck ecosystem. I mean, that's what humans are saying when we're like, we'll just strip mine Alaska. Actually, Ball's idea is way worse. Fuck that. You're saying that we shouldn't just die after coming? Huh. I thought it would be more popular, but I guess people aren't the same visionaries that I am. We just need to come super, super hard, and then it will be worth it. Fine. If you don't want that, you can do the other option that I have available. Anglerfish reproduction.
For whatever reason, it seems the deeper down you go, the stranger animals become. And this is even more true when looking specifically at oceans, with some of the creatures down there being alien enough to inspire movies, including animated ones like Nemo, which, if you have watched, will surely recognize this monstrosity. This is an anglerfish, and unbeknownst to most, it can be found nearly worldwide. And unfortunately for those with thalassophobia, there's not just one species roaming about, but rather more than 200 species, as any fish belonging to the order Lophiformes is considered an anglerfish. This group is characterized by generally nightmarish appearances, and more importantly, luminescent fin rays that they can turn on and off and use to lure unsuspecting fish to their doom. To achieve such a wondrous biological feat, it turns out that these anglerfish essentially bond with bacteria floating in the murky depths. Research has found that they even take this partnership one step further. It's like Venom in Spider-Man, anglerfish and its bacteria have a symbiotic relationship, whereby each relies on the other, which has resulted in the bacteria literally changing genetics to better fit the needs of the anglerfish, with some studies finding that anglerfish-bound
I
bacteria
want to see the footage of the man being
50%
absorbed
smaller
into
than
the
those seen in their
female.
free-floating cousins, while those found closer to the surface are flattened sideways, being tall yet narrow. Other oddities include
Holy
skin
shit, it's
so
huge.
fragile it can be peeled by hand, depressed teeth, probably wondering how on earth do parasites even fit into this equation. And the answer is kind of confusing, as the parasites are, drumroll please, the male anglerfish.
That's me.
Yes, male anglerfish can be parasites. And to not confuse anyone on this whole process, it's best to start at the very beginning, with the deep-sea anglerfish's habitat. These guys live in the murky depths of the Atlantic and Antarctic Oceans, sometimes being found as deep as 4,400 meters, or 14,436 feet, equivalent to 47 statues of liberties stacked on top of one another. At this depth, the pressure is equivalent to 430 atmospheres, meaning that if you were to suddenly experience
They
this
put
amount of pressure,
the
you'd
Titan
instantly
footage
implode.
in.
So to say the least, the anglerfish inhabits a brutal environment, which results in their numbers being few and far between. with
They
various
put the
locations
fucking Titan
typically
in
only
there.
having a couple anglerfish, making the possibility of finding a mate near impossible. To compensate, male anglerfish have quote-unquote invested
Very
in
subtle
specialized
mimification
and
of the
expert
death
game
of 4
trackers.
people right
They have
there.
highly developed large eyes and sensitive olfactory organs that help them detect scents and light within the water. This has allowed them to solve the problem of finding females in such an inhospitable environment. However, as a trade-off for these potent organs, the male anglerfish have become in many ways useless and incredibly vulnerable, being smaller than their female counterparts and not just a bit smaller, but in some scenarios over 500,000 times smaller by weight. If this was applied to humans, then girls would on average weigh more than 3 times the Eiffel.
Goals, guys! Goals! Male, Eiffel Tower, female. Come on, guys. We can achieve this, women.
Tower.
Or men need to
And
start
along with this
shrinking, I'm not
sexual
sure.
dimorphism, males also suffer from ineffective, underdeveloped jaws that make catching prey impossible. Meanwhile, their gonads are further unmatured, meaning they never fully grow and are basically doomed from the get-go, unless that is, they can find a female. Because they, on the other hand, are far from defenseless, and have the resources and tools the male lacks. So how does a male anglerfish benefit from this quote-unquote beacon of light? Well, once it finds a female, it literally fuses its body to her, essentially forcing the two to become one. This odd method starts with the male biting.
Guys, it's rape. The anglerfish, 1/500th the body weight of the female anglerfish. The male anglerfish is raping the female anglerfish by parasitically having his body absorbed into
to
her.
a larger female, where it then releases a special enzyme that melts
They
the
didn't
female
ask
skin
Jesus for
down to the blood
consent.
vessel level, allowing the two to completely connect.
Blah, blah, blah,
This
blah, blah.
results in the male being able to receive nutrients from the female's hunting effort,
Slurp,
in
slurp,
return for
slurp.
him providing sperm, and thus preventing his demise and ensuring that he matures.
The only way I can
What's also
survive
crazy
is if I
that
attach
multiple
myself
males
to the
can be
female,
attached to just
guys.
one female, with some species having up to 8 males bonded per female. So on the bright side, they'll always have good company. However, it's not all fun and games for the males, since as he spends more time as a parasite relying on his Princess Charming, he slowly atrophies and disintegrates, with unused body parts like eyes, fins, and even some internal organs being the first to go. In the end, he is reduced to essentially being just one giant testicle.
One giant testicle, guys.
Sperm when she is ready to mate. Now that you know how anglerfish reproduce, it's time to go outside and touch some grass.
No, instead of touching grass, I will masturbate to giantess porn, in which I imagine myself to be a tiny anglerfish male as my body atrophies and decomposes and I just become a testicle and I lose my eyes and organs. What some men really want? Some, more like majority. I've literally read a doujin like this. Unfortunately, it will never be achievable in real life. Sadly, we just don't have the evolutionary power to become a parasitic testicle attachment to a much larger female. The most doujin heavy one is... I wonder if I can find one of this. Fish that changes sex and becomes female when losing fight. Clownfish. This is the most hentai scenario of all the hentai scenarios, even more than the anglerfish parasitic. Clownfish gender change. Wait, it might not be clownfish. I don't know if... See, there's a specific one that I'm not sure it was clownfish. A dominant male will change sex to female if the breeding female dies, a process driven by social hierarchy and hormones where testes degenerate and ovaries develop. No, this isn't the one. It's not the clownfish. It's a different fish. This is one when they have a dominant female that's actually larger than the male one. There's a different fish. It's not giving me the title, but there's a different fish in which the male fish fight, and the male fish that loses the fight has to become the female and then gets bred by the winning male. It is like the actual hentai definition of like sub-dom relationships resulting in like male preg. It is the most hentai shit ever. The sissy hypnosis actually transforming the twink into a woman. It would be like if after our Lords of the Locker Room fight, we would be like, now it is time for me to become a female so Billy Aniki can impregnate me. No idea what fish you're referring to. I read about it on the Japanese internet, but it's not giving me the search results in English. Maybe if I can find it in Japanese. Tatakai ni No, it is clownfish. Kobudai. Okay, I found it. It's called Asian Sheephead Ross. Looks like this. It would be like if you beat your fat high school bully at a round of Halo 2 while everyone watches in real time. Your bully grows large eyelashes and pigtails, and now you have to impregnate him. I just told you, but I guess it's very hard for you to read, man. I'm looking at a different page searching the internet. I can't look at two locations at the same time, dumbass. Also, half the shit that it says in chat is incorrect. I'm glad that I'm not trying to be like a Dark Souls speedrunner with you, the chat, telling me what to do. It would be absolutely awful. Look at the head lump. Everybody knows that the most attractive feature of the male is its massive head lump. I feel like a lot of the hentai TS doujins just involve like the guy waking up and becoming a woman and getting fucked by his male friends, and not enough of them involve the men engaging in manly combat, and then the one who loses has to become the girlfriend of the stronger male. It's probably because drawing the fighting scenes is too much work. People are like, I can't be bothered to do that shit. But it would be especially good for the topic because a lot of the TS doujins, the male character is like the strongest delinquent in the school or something. And he's like, heh, just because I'm a girl that won't change our friendship, right? My fellow delinquent males. You won't be sexually attracted to me because I'm actually a guy. And they're like, haha, yeah, of course not. And by page 6, he's getting fucked by his friends. Many such cases. It's almost always the Garuo. It's always like a tall, masculine guy, because what's the point of having a femboy that already looks like a female and turning him into an actual female? That's kind of meaningless. It defeats the purpose. The whole point is seeing like the tall, masculine guy who thinks that he has nothing to do with the female gender being like, what? I'm growing big boobs. How can that happen? And then eventually he learns the joy of taking dick or whatever. And he's like, I thought I was a man, but my body has now realized it enjoys the sensation of penis. I think if I got turned into a girl, I'd do that girl degen thing where they just never leave their room and keep masturbating. Yeah, it's unfair that guys have like a stockpile of cum they have to shoot out of their dick. The females in chat don't know, but if you're a horny teenager as a man, and like you're going for maximum number of masturbation times in a day, once you start reaching like 4 or 5, it's no longer pleasurable. It feels like you're just like squeezing a dry towel, like forcing whatever remaining semen to just like come out of your storage. Your body's like, no, I don't have much left to give you, my man. We're kind of out of supply. You're just like, ugh, I can't come anymore. Sounds like a guy problem. It actually is a guy problem. In the Japanese internet, there's this concept called akadama, which means like red load, basically. I don't know if I've heard about it on the American internet, but it's kind of a legendary thing for male goon sessions, where the concept is if you come so many times, you're completely out of any kind of semen storages, but your body is still trying to emit stuff. So it starts shooting out like the red blood cells that haven't been properly turned into sperm yet or something. So you come blood. I don't know if this is a thing that actually happens. Let me look up on the Japanese internet to see if that's real or not. Hemospermia. Akadama shase honto. It says that your prostate has a lot of capillaries. So if you come too much, there is a possibility that you could get blood flow into your sperm. If you do this too much, you could inflame your prostate. So it's more of an urban legend and not like something that happens commonly, but it isn't impossible either. Coming blood sounds metal. When you come so hard, you start to bleed out. I try to keep my ejaculation to once per day. I used to feel like mandatory I had to jack off once per day. But now, now that I don't have to go outside and go to the office or anything, I don't feel that way. It's more of like, if I feel like it, I can jack off once per day for my prostate health. But it's not a mandatory thing. It was definitely mandatory in middle school, though. Going outside without properly ejaculating was always a risk of boner. You don't want to go out into the world with still some of the horny in your energy. It's dangerous. You might grab the ass. Sperm is actually foreign to your body. The anti-sperm. The enemy of sperm everywhere. Alright, I was drawing this right here. God damn, there's all these pigeons outside my window. They're not landing on my porch or my balcony. I think someone upstairs, directly above my balcony, is feeding the pigeons. That's like an act of terrorism, because the pigeons are going to start shitting and the shit is going to come down to my floor, my balcony. I have my laundry out. God damn it. Fucking pigeon people, man. They're fucking everything up. There's pigeons and crows in this area, but I think some people like feeding the pigeons on the 17th floor. What did pigeons ever do to you? They poop everywhere, man. That's what they do. I can hear them. They're making noises. My solitude is being disrupted by these unruly pigeons. They have to be stopped. They're a menace. J. Jonah Jameson was onto something, man. If you had like a guy in a red and blue suit swinging around on New York-sized skyscrapers, you would probably be like, he's a menace. That would be really disturbing. Spider-Man! That freak, he's a menace! Menace to society. We can't allow his unruly behavior to continue. The Mossad surveillance has arrived. Yeah, basically everything is Mossad surveillance at this point. He was a true hater, Ball approves. At least he was consistent. He stuck by his guns. He saw someone and he made his judgment on it, and he didn't like immediately change it. Also, Spider-Man keeps on talking about how he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but I don't want to have a friendly neighborhood relationship. I have tried very hard to not have to talk to people in my vicinity, so I don't want Spider-Man to be around me. Oh! Alright, guys. I think I'm almost done with drawing the Shupogaki, so I'm gonna end the stream here. See you around, boys. I haven't been drawing much because of all the, the gaming, but hopefully I can resist my urge to play fucking Slay the Spire for 5 seconds and actually, finish these drawings. See you around, boys. Good night.